The new season 2024 has been announced, and we have lots of new changes coming. A monstrous amount of changes. A void amount of changes? So let's start by looking at the new map changes. There have been new walls and openings all around the map, making ganking a bit harder. On top and bot, the brushes have been moved in the middle of the river. On mid, the brushes have been moved a bit further back from the lane, and the map as a whole has been made more symmetrical. There are some new walls around Dragon and Baron Pit as well. The map changes are a straight up challenge and nerf to ganking, making all lanes a bit safer. With all that in mind, this will probably make the game more objective orientated. While speaking about jungling and objectives, let's talk about the new monsters as well. During the early game, a new void camp will spawn, the 3 void grubs located inside the Baron Pit. When fighting the void grubs, smaller void mites will appear, making your life harder. Each void grub kill grants a permanent buff to your entire team that will help you push by dealing damage over time when attacking turrets. This buff stacks up to 6 times for each grub kill. After the first 3 grubs are killed, 3 more will spawn a few minutes later. If your team kills all 6 void grubs, you get the maximum buff and apply the damage over time, as well as spawn void mites of your own to assist you in taking towers down. You have to fight not only to take the buff, but to deny your opponent from taking it as well. At 14 minutes, all grubs disappear and the Rift Herald spawns with a all new look and some new abilities. When you kill the Rift Herald, you can summon it as before to push towers, or anyone on your team can hop on the Void Express and use it as battle ram, dealing some extra damage to structures and running into enemies, dealing damage and knocking them up. When the rift hits terrain, the driver pops out and the ability to steer goes on cooldown. Hitting a tower will reset the cooldown. Baron Nashor, the Voidborn Tyrant of the Rift, has an all-new look as well. Baron now has 3 new forms that change his looks, the terrain around him, as well as giving him some new abilities depending on what form spawn, making this into a proper epic boss fight with new boss music and abilities to accompany his epic looks. Each form provides the same old buff as before, but the changes to the terrain and abilities alter the way he fights. The all-seeing Baron has an extra eye on his middle head and opens void rifts in the tunnel pit, deal magic damage over time. The Hunting Baron doesn't change the pit and has a huge horn. He fires void lightning strikes. Territorial Baron spawns an extra wall and doesn't have anything special on his head. His special ability is that he pulls everyone near him with his grabby little hands. All Baron types have a resistant skin, making them immune to debuffs, and their health increases every minute. They have a Void Corruption aura that applies a corrosive stack on nearby champions, reducing the unit's armor and magic resist up to 100 stacks. The champion with the least stacks periodically takes magic damage. The new Barons also apply Baron's Gaze to the person tanking him, reducing the damage they deal to the Baron by 50%. This makes solo killing Baron harder and making it more into a team-oriented boss fight. Baron's auto attacks hit 2 people in the same time. He spawns spikes behind him and sometimes stuns people. He has his usual tentacle attack that knocks people up. He also vomits pools of void energy that slow champions, and the Void Blast attack that does damage in a straight line. Enemies who are close to him get punched by the little grabby hands. In addition to all of this, when Baron appears, he spreads his void influence, corrupting the entire map, infusing the Scuttle Crab, the red buff and the blue buff, with dark powers making them tougher to kill. On that, the Scuttle Crab reveals all enemy champions and wards in a large area. The red and blue buff now grant the buff to every alive teammate when slain. Dragon Rifts have also got some changes. The Inferno has been completely changed and will now scatter Inferno cinders all across the map. Picking up the cinders gives a short burst of movement speed, as well as a stat buff. But be careful, because on dead you lose half of your collected cinders and any other player can pick them up for himself. As in every other season, items have been reworked, which we will discuss in another video. But the most important thing is that mythic items are gone. Some items are totally being removed, others updated, and some new ones are being added. Every role and class will notice big changes this season. Support items are being changed pretty drastically, and you will be able to choose what suits your playstyle the best. Last but not least are the new champion quests that will trigger when certain champions are in the same game. Defeating your rival will grant you a small buff. It looks like these quests will be lore related. In other news, we know that the Soul Fighter Arena will be coming back with its new changes as well, and will probably become a permanent game mode. Overall, the new season looks to be promising and packed with plenty of new interesting things and will change the way League is played. Lanes will now be a bit safer and the junglers will have to adapt to the new terrain and objectives. As a jungle main, I think that the new season will be an interesting and exciting challenge, and the game in general will become more objective orientated and team focused. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about the new season. Hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the new Rift.